guys, it's Aang here and thanks for joining me today. I'll be showing you how I make some of my favorite hot drinks that is perfect for the fall and winter months. Whether you like tea, lattes, hot cocoa, or apple cider, there will be a drink for you. As always, the recipes will be in the description box. Now let's get started. We're starting off with my favorite drink, which is a chai tea latte from scratch. This tea tastes way better than the usual tea concentrates, which I find too overly sweetened and lack a spice flavor. When I make my own, I like it to be the exact opposite, which is lightly sweetened and more heavy on the spices. You'll need some black tea. I actually prefer loose leaf, but these tea bags are what I have on hand, so I'll go ahead and use it up. Filtered water. I'm using 2% milk here, but you can use whichever milk you like. A cinnamon stick, which I smashed in half. Cardamom pods that I lightly cracked open with the bottom of a butcher knife in order to expose the seeds inside. Fresh ginger, whole cloves, crushed black pepper, and sugar, which will be added at the end. I'm bringing the water to a boil and then adding the spices. Then I'll let it simmer for about 5 minutes so that the spices can do its thing. Then remove it off the heat and add the tea bags and let it steep for about 5 minutes. Once done steeping, I'll remove the tea bags and add the milk and return it to a medium heat and stir occasionally. You can remove it off the heat when small bubbles appear and add in the sugar. I took the pot over to the sink and strained the tea into a glass pitcher. I then refrigerate the rest and heat it up before serving. This also tastes amazing as an iced chai as well. Next up is a Cardamom Latte. This drink was inspired by a small coffee shop back home that I loved. You're going to need some steamed milk, cardamom pods, and some brewed coffee or espresso. I'm also going to add some maple syrup as a sweetener. This milk frother doesn't pour very cleanly, so just ignore the mess. I'm also going to sprinkle some of my homemade spice mix as a garnish. we're moving on to a caramel spice cider. This is definitely a favorite amongst the kiddos. It was the end of August when I filmed this part and I had such a hard time finding apple cider, but luckily I stumbled upon it at Walmart. You'll also need some whipped cream and caramel sauce. I've warmed up some of the apple cider on the stove. Feel free to use the microwave if you don't want to bust out a pot. Then add some caramel sauce and make sure it completely dissolves. Make sure to serve it with plenty of whipped cream on the top. And an extra drizzle of caramel sauce and a little bit more spice. Our next recipe is a spiced hot cocoa. I'm starting off by heating up some milk and stirring occasionally. Remove off the stove and add some unsweetened cocoa powder and some homemade spice mix. I'll also add maple syrup as a sweetener. Give it a good stir to break down any clumps. I actually like some of the clumps because it adds some texture. Serve it with some whipped cream and a sprinkling of the spice mix. The final drink is a gingerbread tea latte. This is my favorite seasonal drink at Starbucks. You need hot water to steep the tea in. Royal English tea is what they use, but this plain black tea will be just fine. You'll also need steamed milk, your sweetener of choice. I use maple syrup, and of course, homemade gingerbread spice. Go ahead and steep the tea in the water for about 4 minutes, then add the spice mix and sweetener and give it a good stir. Add the steamed milk and finish it off with a sprinkle of spice. Thanks for joining me today, and let me know what your favorite go-to hot drink is. If you enjoy these types of videos, please be sure to give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next one. Bye!